Tag TV, and Tag Radio, rapidly becoming the leading technology new media in all of Georgia and the Southeast. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by Integrated Learning Services, integratedlearningservices.com. Wait, worry, or take control. At integratedlearningservices.com, increase sales, productivity, and client retention. Lower training costs. integratedlearningservices.com. Ready to be both surprised and amazed? One of the first firms to move to Gwinnett's Technology Park back in 1968 is now a world leader and considered one of the most innovative visionary technology companies in the aviation industry today. And you may not have ever even heard of them. From military antenna systems, radar battlefield visibility, and commercial aero connectivity to commercial and military aircraft worldwide, internet connectivity and in-flight entertainment, satellite-based messaging and tracking, global telematics and force tracking solutions, to pioneering technology solutions for search and rescue operations, global tracking of cargo personnel and fleet assets, to even the world's most remote and hostile places, to rugged vehicle-mounted handheld and wearable mobile computers. Greetings, everyone. It's Thursday, April 1st, 2010, and this is the premier member insight edition of Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. This special Tech Talk series is all about the premier companies that make Atlanta and all of Georgia a world-class technology leader that you may not even realize have and continue to contribute and pioneer some of the most visionary thought leadership and technology to the world marketplace and beyond. Up to the premier edition of Tech Talk, EMS Technologies, a leading mobile connectivity company serving the worldwide industries of aviation, military, and logistics markets. Headquartered right here in Gwinnett's Technology Park, EMS is considered a world leader in keeping people and systems connected on land, at sea, in the air, and in outer space. Tino speaks with EMS President and CEO Dr. Neil A. Mackay in a rare interview to go inside EMS today and its plans for tomorrow. Dr. Mackay is an EMS veteran, having served in several major senior management and leadership positions within the aerospace and aviation industry corporate divisions since 1993. A former CEO at several telecommunications, software, and aviation companies, he is a recipient of the Canadian Business Aviation Association's Lifetime Achievement Award, among many countless other accomplishment recognitions for both his management and thought leadership in the aviation industry. EMS, be ready to be surprised and amazed as Tino goes inside one of Atlanta's most influential technology innovators that affects all of our lives every day, but few may recognize, as he speaks with EMS President Dr. Neil Mackay.
Neil, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk today.
Thanks a lot as well for letting me come on.
Well, let's jump right in because we only have about 20 minutes and want to make sure that our listeners get the full value of everything that's happening at EMS, and I know there's a lot. So maybe the first step, I think that many of TAG's audience are familiar with EMS, but not all of them. So maybe start out by telling us a little bit about EMS Technologies and also their history as a company with strong Atlanta ties.
Yeah. Well, EMS is actually the largest public employer that is headquartered in Gwinnett County, which is, of course, outside of government,
right.
Schools and so on. And we were the first tenants of Technology Park of Atlanta so many years ago. We were a spin-off of Scientific Atlanta, and we got our start building microwave ferrite circulators for space way back in 1964. Since then, we've grown into a global company with about 1,200 employees, 500 of whom work here in the Atlanta area. I'd like to say that we are in the mobile connectivity space. That's where everyone and everything now needs to be connected. And we meet those needs in two active categories. First, in aviation, we are in both commercial and military aviation, and we provide a full suite of products to enable communication to and from all aircraft. Second is we're in the logistics business. We're tracking of assets everywhere from the warehouse, from ports and hard-to-reach places like Brazil or Pakistan or Afghanistan. Atlanta is our head office. Two of our divisions are headquartered here, And our other divisions also have people working in Atlanta as well. I find that EMS is a great place for technical folks to work. We have to solve very difficult technical problems, and then we have to turn them into products that are easy to use and often in very challenging environments. I'm not sure if that answers what you're looking for.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I remember we had a chart done this before my time in our office that was done by a marketing firm, and it had Scientific Atlanta and all the companies that spun off from Scientific Atlanta back in the, I guess, late 50s, early 60s. So you were one of those companies. That's very interesting.
That's right. Dr. John Pippin was our founder, and he brought with him several SA people with him when he formed EMS.
Well, how about, you're relatively new to this position, so I'd like our listeners to hear a little bit about you and also your impressions about being in Gwinnett County and Atlanta and in Georgia.
Okay, well, that's a lot of fun for me. I came to Atlanta about 2.5 years ago as the Executive Vice President of Strategy for the company. Then I changed into Chief Operating Officer, now finally as Chief Executive Officer a few months ago. I've been with EMS for about 18 years or so when EMS bought my company, Cal Corporation, in Canada. Cal became what was now known as EMS Satcom, which turned out to be a very successful venture, and so now we are modeling the company's strategy along the lines of my previous division as well. It's kind of a lot of fun being here. I love the weather and the southern charm, a big change from Canada, of course. But my wife is from Atlanta, so I'm quite accustomed to the Georgia lifestyle. I've been doing this for quite a while.
Well, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, well, thank you. And delivering an environment helps to attract and retain our employees as well. Atlanta is a very dynamic place to do business, I've found. It's no accident that SA and Coca-Cola are here, I would think. Actually, what struck me when I first came is how entrepreneurial the spirit is here, Tino. And that's important because EMS is a very entrepreneurial company. We depend a lot on the university system, and we have quite a few Georgia Tech folks working with us here as well. What may not be obvious to people is it's really important that we have Hartsfield-Jackson Airport here. EMS is heavily involved in connectivity for aviation, and many of the aircraft flying into and out of Hartsfield have our equipment on board. As for a vision of EMS, I'm spending a lot of time right now in front of investors and customers, and my vision is best summarized as my belief that everyone and everything will be connected. And we play an important role in that connectivity, particularly in aviation and logistics.
Well, you're in a tough, obviously everybody knows it's been a relatively tough economic climate. Some technology-based companies are doing better than others. How's EMS faring in all this? How are you navigating through the time? And do you see some opportunities there moving forward? And where do you feel you are with this whole economic downturn? Are you guys seeing positives coming out of this now?
Well, we're feeling in pretty good shape. Actually, our business grew in 2009 compared to 2008, although it wasn't really at the pace that we've had sort of breakneck speed of growth before that, so the pace slowed down somewhat. And now we are positioning ourselves, hopefully, for the next growth phase, which I suspect will happen not this year, but in 2011. What we are doing is we're changing the way we do the business. We're increasing our global diversity. In our LXC business, for instance, Europe was doing very well last year while we were having tough times in the U.S. Now that seems to have turned around. The roles are reversing, and now we're also moving into China and South America in a big way. So these regions are becoming fairly key for us. The other side probably is product diversity. In our aviation business, for example, we had a very good spot in the satellite business several years ago with about 80% market share on the key mobile broadband satellite services that are generally used for biz jets and for military use. But in the last few years, connectivity is really starting to take off in aviation, and air-to-ground communications in the U.S. is a much more cost-effective solution, particularly when you start talking about airlines. So now we're using we're providing broadband terminals for the go-go air-to-ground market. And one thing that has not changed, though, is that we are still squarely in the mobile connectivity business. And if anything, we are sharpening our focus in this sector.
Well, now, I fly fairly frequently, not as much as many of our listeners do who are on the road probably 4 or 5 days a week, but one of the things that's on many of the planes now is Wi-Fi, and I understand that EMS has played a key role in that as an enabler on the Delta Airlines and AirTran Airways. So tell us a little bit about that and how it's going so far.
Well, we love that business. It's a really great business for us. This year, our sales will be over $100 million in Wi-Fi connectivity on board aircraft. We're doing pretty well. Actually, but you'll hardly ever see our name anywhere because we provide these services through some of the avionics OEMs. But if you're flying on a plane that has connectivity on it, I would say you have a 80% chance that it will have EMS on board, whether it's TV or cellular service or broadband service for laptops or Blackberries. I don't know if you've noticed, as you're going to the airport, there are some big billboards down there. They're competing with each other. There's a Delta billboard and there's an AirTran billboard.
Right.
And they're advertising Wi-Fi. What I wish they could do is put a footnote on the bottom right-hand corner that says EMS Inside.
Powered by EMS or part of it.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be nice. Yeah. That would be nice. Well, and I imagine in that industry, because I'm kind of observant on that, because I love to use it on the planes. I mean, it's another hour, 2 hours, 3 hours that I can get some work done. But I imagine it's just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of potential market penetration there.
Oh, absolutely. It's probably not well known, but there are about 40 trials going on with different airlines around the world. In the U.S., it's being driven by Aircel with the GoGo service, of course, and that's serving Delta, AirTran, American, United, and so on. Or Southwest Airlines is just going with Row 44, who is also one of our customers. In the rest of the world outside of the U.S., it's done through two companies, Aero Mobile and On Air, and actually they're way ahead of us compared to what we're doing in the States. Asian and European airlines, they've already embraced connection technology. And if you go on Trans-Pacific or Middle East, you'll find that it's already in use there, and our stuff is on board as well.
Well, let's move on. I know you're involved, as you mentioned early on in the conversation, a number of things and very active in the tracking and logistics space. So how's EMS pursuing those markets, and where do you see the big opportunities?
Well, that's a big part of our business. We are helping customers monitor what I'd call high-value assets everywhere. So anything from cargo and personnel in Africa, Afghanistan, or Pakistan, anywhere like that, all the way down to providing tracking merchandise bound for retail stores, maybe right here in Atlanta. We have two divisions that are focused on this market. The first is LXC, and we started extending our wireless reach at LXC beyond the traditional port and warehouse markets in 2009. Before that, we were purely in the warehouse business, and we were providing only Wi-Fi. But now we launched earlier on this year our first wireless wide area network product, the MX9. And that has many radios on board. It's got traditional Wi-Fi radios, Bluetooth, GPS, a range of cellular data radios, GSM, GPRS, 3G, whatever you want to call them. We have all those on board. And that product, the MX9, has attracted about 50 customers already, with the launch customer being Itron, the world's leader in meter reading. And using our smart radios, basically we've created drive-by meter reading, so to speak, where a utility or gas company, you can just drive down the street and read the meters as they go by. Very, very efficient. Now, and also, again, back to the Atlanta airport aspect, we're also going to be using the MX9 to help one of our customers provide refueling for some of those airlines in Hartsfield. And later on, we'll be launching 3 new products later on this year for that, too.
Well, we're just about out of time, but I did want to ask you about Defense and Space Division, because I know you're extremely active in that. And congratulations, I believe, are in order because I think you just won a big antenna contract for the Navy HawkLink program. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, of course, we at EMS are very proud that we're helping our forces get situational awareness in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places like that. The big thing in military warfare now is what you might call common operational procedures, where information is shared across the board from the command all the way into the field. And data is really, really key. And our defense and space business is concentrating on data link technology. That's what they use to do surveillance in the kind of warfare we're now engaged in. You need very, very big data pipes, and they have to be secure, and they have to work over a long range. Our recent win with the Navy's HawkLink program is a good example, for instance. Basically, Seahawk helicopters, they have them on the ships, and they send them out on surveillance missions over 100 miles away or so. And that actual video imagery could be up to 22 megabits per second. It's sent from the helicopter back to the ship in real time. It's pretty tough stuff because you have to keep that data alive and functioning in a really hostile environment. We're using the same sort of technology on other data link opportunities we have with the F-22 and shortly on the F-35. The problem that those aircraft have is that they have to talk to each other, and it's very difficult to do that right now. So even though there may be cutbacks in defense spending, we believe that bandwidth is just going to be insatiable for the DoD, and so we're concentrating on connectivity as a big part of our defense business. And I think it'll be a great business for the years to come.
Well, Neil, this has been enlightening for me, and I'm sure for our listeners. EMS is a great TAG supporter, and Tech America supporter. You're a premier member with us, and for those listeners that are not yet premier members or involved with Tech America, please give me a call because it's a great program. We're almost up to 100 members, companies, and EMS was one of the early adopters. So we appreciate you doing that, Neil, and hopefully your employees are gaining some knowledge and opportunities to participate and connect in with us.
Well, we're pleased to support you as well, Tino. And I'd like to leave, if I could, with a thanks to all of our employees for helping us over the last 40 years to make EMS into the company that is now turning out to be.
Well, thank you very much for joining me today.
Okay. All the best. Thank you.